What's up and welcome to ScreenBlitz, the weekly film and TV show giving you all the top news, views, reviews, previews, features, opinions and more that you need to know. I'm your host Grant Burton. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @the_Grant Burton, or you can go to powerdown.com for all my written content. This week's a very busy week. Tons of news and surprisingly a lot of trailers. I don't know why there's so many trailers this week, but we'll get through that in a minute. But first, click subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, give me some feedback, it'll be much appreciated. And if you're watching this on Twitch, get involved in the chat at the end of the show. We can have a nice little hangout and conversation. But let's get on with the show, shall we? Because it's a big week. So, item number 1 in the news. So this isn't so much a news story as a thing that happened. I suppose that's a way to put it. But, yeah, that's what I'm going to say. It's a thing that happened. The Emmy Awards were this week. Now, a few weeks ago, I done an Emmy predictions show. It might be more than a few weeks ago now, actually. And I can't be bothered to go back and watch them to find out what my predictions were and how accurate I was. Chances are I wasn't accurate at all. But there were some things I got right and some things I'm really happy with. So, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel won a lot of awards for Best Comedy Series, Best Lead Actress and Best Supporting Actress, so great on them. Rachel Brosnahan was brilliant in that show. A little surprised they got the Best Supporting Actress one though. Not complaining, just surprised. But yeah, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, probably the best show out last year, and I can't wait for season 2. The other thing is Game of Thrones won Best Drama. That should be no surprise to anyone, really. There are other shows up there, but yeah, can't be too upset with Game of Thrones winning it. It really is kind of in a league of its own. And the final thing I want to talk about is Henry Winkler winning his first Emmy. He was nominated some like 40 plus years ago for his role in Happy Days, and he won it at last this time for Barry, and I think he's brilliant in Barry. Barry is just a really good show. I truly recommend you check that out. So yeah, good on Henry Winkler. He's a really funny guy. He seems like a nice guy as well, but I don't know. That's all I really want to talk about the Emmys though. So go back a few weeks, see if my predictions were right, because I can't be bothered to. Next up, Avatar The Last Airbender is getting a live-action series in development at Netflix. The original show makers are involved in the show, and they claim it won't whitewash the cast. So, those last 2 points, the whitewashing of the cast, great, nobody likes that. And having the original show makers on board, a really good sign. In fact, they're not just on board, they're actually making the show. They are running it, they're writing all the scripts and everything. So that's brilliant. It's going to evoke the original animated show. My worry is, do people really want a live action version of this? I know they've done the film, which was terrible. And the animated show is meant to be brilliant. I've never watched it myself. I've got it on my Amazon Prime list, so I'm going to give it a go. But yeah, not sure if it'll work as a show, not sure if people want it as a live action show, but we'll see. It looks very hopeful with the people they've got involved and the approach they're taking now. Next up, Dave McNary at Variety says Bryan Singer is in talks to direct Red Sonja. So, I'm not going to talk about Red Sonja. I don't really know much about Red Sonja. What I'm talking about is Bryan Singer, and I'm a little annoyed here because this is a controversial director. Apparently he's a right piece of work to get along with and to work with. He doesn't show up sometimes. He's really bad work habits, and he was involved in the Me Too movement. And what I'm annoyed with is that he was fired from his last film, which wasn't too long ago. In fact, that last film hasn't even came out yet. I think it comes out in the next couple of months or something. And already he's being considered for another film. So is all this controversy just being ignored? I don't know, it doesn't seem right that he's being considered for this despite all that, and especially in such a short amount of time that people seem to just forgetting about this. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's right, I'm not sure if it's acceptable, and yeah, I'm a little annoyed. Because if this happens to Bryan Singer, does that mean people like Kevin Spacey or Harvey Weinstein could potentially come back at some point and just continue where they left off? I don't think it will happen, but with them two in particular, but yeah. Plus, I should point out now, I don't know the validity of the claims against Bryan Singer. Well, the ones with where he was fired for being like a bad worker and all that, they're pretty solid proof. There's evidence there to support that. But when it comes to the Me Too stuff, I don't know if they've been proven or not. So yeah, maybe not go too far down that way of accusing them of that stuff without proof. Next up, Justin Kroll at Variety. Loki and Scarlet Witch and other Marvel heroes are going to get their own TV series on the Disney streaming service. There'll be a limited series of 6 to 8 episodes. Some will feature characters we haven't had in films yet. Tom Hiddleston and Elizabeth Olsen are expected to play the roles again, and the costs are expected to be hefty, rivaling major studio productions. So, Disney really wants you to get this streaming service, and they've already got a bunch of Star Wars stuff coming up there, and they've got a bunch of Marvel animated stuff going to be on there, as well as all their back catalogue of content, and now they're adding original Marvel MCU TV shows. So, this is a huge deal for anyone who's interested in Marvel or Disney, and if you are interested in Marvel or Disney, you really should be on the lookout for this, because it's turning into a must-have property. Like, just because of the Star Wars stuff, I'm getting it. There's no doubt about it. I have to be involved in watching all these shows, and there's rumours that there might even be films on this service at some point. So yeah, I'm all for this, and very smart, don't blame them. Yeah, it comes out next year, I believe. There's not a definitive date yet. I don't even think there's a definitive name for it yet, but there's rumours it's called Disney Play. But yeah, looking forward to this. Loki, Scarlet Witch, I like them characters, particularly Loki. It'll be interesting to see how they handle them in TV form. Scarlet Witch in particular, I think, could really do with the TV show, because I think her character is often on the sidelines, so this might flesh her out a bit more, and that'll be really good. As for other characters, I don't know who they've got in mind, and yeah, time will tell. These two shows in development, don't know what exactly is left to come. Mike Fleming Jr. at Deadline says Bond 25 gets Kari Jo Fukunaga as the new director. Filming begins in March, and the film will release in February 2020, which is a delay from, I believe, November 2019, which shouldn't come as a surprise because of all the problems I've had with this film. So, Kari Jo Fukunaga, really good director and writer, probably best known for True Detective Season 1, but he also done Beast of No Nation, which is a Netflix film which I haven't actually watched, but it looks pretty good and it got great reviews. He doesn't usually do action films though, and that's not a bad thing. Sam Mendes, when he joined to do Skyfall and Spectre, didn't have a huge history of action films. He'd done some bits and bobs here and there, but never like a full-blown action blockbuster movie. So I think this is a really good choice, a really interesting choice for James Bond, and hopefully it'll work out in the end. I'm looking forward to it. Nelly Andreeva at Deadline says Marvel series about female superheroes is in development at ABC. Wonder Woman writer Alan Heinberg is writing it, and it's set to be focused on lesser known characters. So there's a lot of Marvel TV out right now. You've got the Netflix stuff, you've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC as well, you've got, they had Inhumans but that was cancelled. There's Cloak and Dagger, which is on Hulu in America, it's on Amazon here in the UK, and there's a lot. I've just spoken earlier, like literally a couple of minutes ago, about Loki and Scarlet Witch getting their own shows, and now there's this on top of it. They haven't confirmed that this is in the MCU. So far, every Marvel TV show, including Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., has only kind of tangentially been related to the MCU, so it might not be that big a deal, but I'm hoping it does tie into the MCU. I think that would make sense, and yeah, not a lot to say about it this time. My Marvel knowledge, especially on the lesser known characters, isn't great, so I don't know who they're going to put into this. But yeah, more Marvel TV, like it or hate it, I don't know. We've got a lot of superhero stuff coming out in the future. Final news story. Justin Kroll at Variety says Michael B. Jordan is going to play Tom Clancy character John Clark in a new film series. Paramount is making 2 films based on Rainbow Six and Without Remorse. Without Remorse will be the first of the 2 and will act as an origin story. So, my water's just flicked me in the eye there. So, we've already got a Tom Clancy TV show starring John Krasinski on Amazon, and it's pretty good. I think they wanted to have John Clark in the show as well, but they couldn't get the rights to that character for whatever reason. And now they're doing this film completely unrelated to that TV show. I feel like this could confuse some people if they're unaware that these are unrelated, despite the fact that they're from the same original writer. But yeah, Michael B. Jordan, he's like a really big thing right now, one of the top stars in Hollywood. Makes sense that he's getting his own franchise. He's got Creed, of course, but that's kind of Sylvester Stallone at the same time. I'm not familiar with Tom Clancy's books. I'm not familiar with the character. I don't know if he'll be a good fit for it, but yeah, it seems like a smart thing for him to do. So that's all the news I've got this week. We're moving on to trailers in just a bit, but just a reminder, click subscribe, give me a thumbs up, give me some feedback. I'll be really appreciative. But let's get on to the trailers. A lot of trailers to get through, so bear with me. The first one was Apostle. This is a Netflix movie from the director of The Raid and The Raid 2. Really good director, I really like his work. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in this film and as well as The Raid 3, because that is coming eventually, and it has to come eventually, as the first two were just really good and too big a success to ignore. And hopefully he does return to do it as well, because The Raid, a potential third Raid film, just won't be the same without him on the directing seat. So this is a film about, well, I don't really know what it's about exactly, but it looks like it's a cross between The Village and The Wicker Man, maybe. It's a horror starring Dan Stevens. I really like him. I think he's a really good actor, and it looks okay. There were some genuine moments in the trailer where I was like, oh, that could be pretty scary, that could be pretty spooky. It looks very atmospheric, and attention to detail in the sets and costumes and so on looks really good. So yeah, I'm curious about this, and it comes out in October, so not too long. Next trailer, The Girl in the Spider's Web. They released another trailer for this, and I am still pretty annoyed that Noomi Rapace is not playing Elizabeth Salander, because they've cast Claire Foy, she's great, but they've cast Claire Foy and they're making her put on a Scandinavian Swedish accent. If that's what they were going to do, why not just cast Noomi Rapace and have her continue on from the Swedish films? Because this is like the fourth book in the series. So yeah, it's just a bit annoying. And as for the trailer itself, it looks visually stunning, which is great, but it also looks really action-packed. And I'm worried that maybe they're turning this into an action franchise when it's kind of not what it is. It's much more of like a detective mystery kind of thriller maybe, but action, yeah. Also, there was a spoiler in this trailer, at least I think there was. There was something in the trailer which was a reveal that either I've forgotten about or I just didn't realise, and yeah, I'm a little annoyed that it was in there, especially if it was meant to be a big reveal. Perhaps I have to go back and watch the original 3 Swedish versions to remind myself of whether or not that was something that was in them or not. But yeah, the film looks interesting, looks okay. I'll probably check it out at some point. Mary Poppins Returns. We're moving on to what are probably the big trailers of this week. So, Mary Poppins Returns, I think it's a completely unnecessary film. I don't think we need it. I don't think many people want it. But I like Emily Blunt, but she's no Julie Andrews. Dick Van Dyke's in the film, which I think is brilliant. I don't know how old he is now, but he has to be in his 90s. I noticed in the trailer that he's seen dancing around a bit. I'm wondering if that's a body double or if it's some sort of CGI trickery, because I can't imagine a man of his age is able to move around like that, but maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. It's Dick Van Dyke, he is a pretty interesting character, and one of the highlights for this trailer was the CGI, in that it evokes the classic animation style. I'm a little worried that maybe the film's going to rely too much on CGI and animation and quirks over story and character, but time will tell if that. But yeah, Mary Poppins Returns, it looks okay, but I'm not entirely sure if I want it, especially with the first film being such a classic. But yeah, I'm a bigger fan of Bedknobs and Broomsticks, which was very much in the same kind of vein as Mary Poppins. And yeah, I don't want a Bedknobs and Broomsticks sequel or remake either. But in fact, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, they had like a full, really long, like almost 3-hour version of the film, I believe. But then they cut out tons and tons of stuff. I would really like to see the full version of that someday, but that's never going to happen because I think there's some sort of issue surrounding that extra footage. Like it might not even exist anymore. But yeah, I digress. Captain Marvel. This is probably the biggest trailer of the week. And here's the thing with Captain Marvel. I think people are way more excited and interested in this film to see how it ties into the MCU, particularly with the next Avengers film, rather than as this film as a standalone superhero movie. And it's not exactly anything wrong with that, but I do think in the long run, in retrospectively, once this film's out, people are going to be saying, yeah, this is how it ties into that, rather than, oh, that was a good standalone movie. So, to get onto the trailer itself though, I really liked the 90s nostalgia. It was a really good way to start a trailer, showing you blockbuster video, because this is a prequel, it is set in the 90s, and they've got young Nick Fury and young Phil Coulson in here, played by Samuel L. Jackson and Clark Gregg. I don't know how big a role they're going to have. Samuel L. Jackson's looks like a pretty significant role, but that guy's aged pretty well, despite the fact that he's in like his 60s now. He looks really good for his age. So I don't think they've had to do too much to him to de-age him. Clark Gregg has aged. If you look back at what he was like in Iron Man as opposed to what he is now, you can notice some pretty significant changes. So I think it's going to be a bit more apparent that they've used CGI to de-age him. But yeah, Captain Marvel, first Marvel superhero film to star a female lead. It's about damn time if you ask me. And 10 years into the franchise, that's way too long, but hey, it's finally happened and can't complain too much about that. So yeah, the film looks pretty good as well. Don't really have much to say, except yeah, there was a scene in there where she punched an old woman. A lot of people have been going, oh my god, she punched an old woman, but if you don't know the Skrulls in Marvel, that's going to be completely out of context and just like, oh, what the hell's going on there? But there's actually a genuine reason why she punched the old woman. And yeah, I'm not going to say what it is. You're going to have to wait to see what that reason is and see if it's justified or not. Stan and Ollie. I've just watched this trailer and this looks like a really good film actually. When I was younger, I was a big fan of Laurel and Hardy. I thought they were really quite funny and interesting, and their films, at least when I was younger, they held up pretty well. I'm not sure how well they hold up now, but yeah, I really liked Laurel and Hardy, so the casting of this was very important to me. So John C. Reilly, with all that makeup and prosthetics on there, he looks the part very well, and he's got the voice and the accent and everything down to a T. I think he's going to be really good. Steve Coogan, though. I've got nothing against Steve Coogan. I think he's great. I love him as Alan Partridge. I love him in some other films and works that he's done. But I'm not sure if he's quite right for this role. And I watched the trailer, and it looks like a decent performance. I'm just not quite getting the... I don't think it's quite evoking my view of that individual. And I can't remember if it's Stan Laurel or Oliver Hardy. So I think it's Stan Laurel. And I think John C. Reilly's Oliver Hardy. Yeah, I need to look that up again. Yeah, it's been a long time since I thought about Laurel and Hardy, but I used to really like them. But yeah, the film itself looks good. Steve Coogan, probably be a good performance. I'm just not sure if it's going to be entirely accurate, at least in terms of the way he looks. I'm not quite buying it. Daredevil Season 3. So Daredevil is probably the best Marvel TV show, maybe ever. The first season I thought was brilliant. The second season, the first half of it was really good, featuring the Punisher. It kind of lost its way in the second half, and the ending was a bit iffy. But because it went way It went from being gritty and realistic and grounded to being much more fantastical and comic book based, which is fine, but it kind of lost the plot a bit. And hopefully they're getting a bit back on track in this season. Not much to say about the trailer, it didn't really show much. The most important thing about this trailer is that it revealed the release date, and it's October 19th, which is way earlier than I expected. I was expecting this to come out in November or December, but yeah, it's only actually a few weeks away. So yeah, a little surprised at that. But yeah, more Daredevil, not a bad thing, could be a good thing. Although Marvel TV, especially on the Netflix horizon, has been a bit mixed bag recently. Hopefully that's not the case here. Yeah, I've just added a trailer before I started the show, and I haven't had time to add the poster, as I've just remembered. But Doctor Who released a new trailer. I'm all about Jodie Whittaker being the Doctor. I think she's great. And yeah, not a lot to say about the trailer. Hopefully, I think it's Chris Chibnall who's the new showrunner. I might have got the name a bit wrong there, but I don't know. So, fresh showrunner, new cast, Bradley Walsh is in there. I kind of like him as well, and yeah, hopefully it is like a fresh of breath air. A breath of fresh air. But yeah, Doctor Who comes out soon. Can't wait. And that's it for the news and the trailers of this week. I'm about to move on to reviews where I'm talking a perfect favour. Not a perfect favour, a simple favour. I keep getting that mixed up for some reason. But if you've liked what you've seen so far, despite the fact that I'm making a lot of really awkward mistakes and getting my words mixed up and slurred up, well, you can give me a subscription on YouTube. I'd really appreciate that. Give me a thumbs up as well. That would be much appreciated. And give me some feedback and leave a comment down below. If you're in the Twitch chat, then stay tuned,